Hey everybody, welcome back to Board and Savior. Today, we're going to be taking a look at my new Unmatched Storage solution. That's what it looks like, but that's not all it is. There's two of them. There's one over here, too. I just wanted it to be over here so that you could see that it does indeed fit beautifully into a Kallax shelf. Now I'm going to get it and bring it over so that you got something to look at other than my mug. I hope they're both in frame. I can't see. I can't see without my glasses, like that one movie where the kid dies. Whatever. It's mostly in frame, and there'll be B-roll if you want to get a close-up look. Unmatched! I made these! But not all by myself. No. Hold on. Sorry, I'm so unprofessional right now. I'm getting the name of the person who designed the actual boxes, the individual fighter boxes. D2SM10 on Thingiverse made these per fighter specific boxes for every single Unmatched fighter. I think somebody else did them for the new Stars and Stripes set, like someone remixed what this person put up on Thingiverse and like made them. Regardless, it is linked below if you're trying to do this project yourself. If you're trying to do this exact thing, then it's linked below where I got these 3D print files from. But like, they're just up there for free. Can you imagine all of this wonderful work and just putting it out into the world with just love in your heart? Gosh, some people are good. There is goodness in the world still. In 2026, it exists. And D2SM10 is an example of it. You're a real one. You're a real one for sure. All right, what's the tale here? Well, for my first Unmatched storage solution, it was great. It worked for a long time. There were problems with it. The thing that I did was I got these clear deck boxes on Amazon. I got a whole buttload of them, and I put my sleeved cards and fighters into these clear deck boxes, and it was 2 fighters per deck box, and I would try to keep them, you know, thematically connected. Like if it was Cobble and Fog, it was the 4 Cobble and Fog were in 2 of these. If it was Marvel, there were only 3, but it would be like, you know, one of the Marvels gets paired up with somebody else. It was, you know, Doctor Strange and She-Hulk were in one, Spider-Man and Deadpool were in another, like that kind of thing. But they would go into the 2 fronts of Unmatched boxes sandwiched together. So you would have the Unmatched box, you would put 3 by 3, so 9 of these deck boxes, 18 total fighters, into one half of an Unmatched box, and you would take the top of another, the lid of another, and flip it, and then hold it together with board game bands, those straps that you put board games into when you're traveling with them. And you do that because it's the tops of 2 boxes. It's not a bottom and a top and there's a little bit of lid lift. No, it's the tops of 2 boxes, and it needed to be that way because these clear deck boxes they didn't fit 3 by 3 in the bottoms of boxes. They only fit into the lids this way. And it worked well. I had all of my fighters in 4 of these sandwich boxes. So it was 2 Marvel sets kissed together, the 2 Witcher sets kissed together, the Battle of Legends, 2 Battle of Legends kissed together, and then like Battle of Legends and Cobble and Fog. So 2 3-fighter sets, and then 2 4-fighter sets, And in the 4-fighter sets, there was extra room, so you could have maps in there, and also the Sattler versus T-Rex little box, there were the smaller maps in there. And this worked fairly well. It stored everything fairly well. Obviously, the only way to keep these things together being with the box bands was clunky. It was awkward. It meant that there was a big plus over all of the boxes. And the reason that I wanted to do it this way and not how many others have done it on the internet, and they have like consolidated into, you know, one of those storage cases that you would use for like camera gear or something like that. One of those like silver briefcases. People have consolidated into those. But my problem with that is that it didn't display on your shelves the beautiful artwork that Unmatched is known for. And so that didn't work for me. I didn't want to sacrifice the great art displaying to the world for an economical storage solution. So I did this, and the artwork was covered up. Just a little strip, but a strip was covered up by the boxes, by the bands rather, that were keeping them together. And then because it's two lids and you don't put a lid into a lid, they would sometimes shift a little bit, and then like the corner of a lid would like slip into the corner of another, but obviously they can't fit together perfectly, so it's just like one corner is kind of squished in there, and that looked bad. And then I would like separate them on the shelves and pull them apart and like just get them into the right, and that's all just kind of annoying, and you don't want to have to do that. So I wanted to fix that, and also I wanted more space. New Unmatched sets keep coming out, and I wanted something that could expand into the future a bit, and what I've got now does totally. And this is not without its caveats and things that I have to live with, which I'll get into, but I do like this way more. So let me tell you the tale, and let me also just show you, because you'll see that both of these are right now naked to the world. Anything can get in there, but you can put lids onto them, and the lids do simultaneously fit onto them and in the shelves. You can have the lids on the top one and still put them in the shelves if you care about that. If you're going to copy this exactly, I don't know if you are, but it's an option. Okay, what was my process for doing this? First of all, Thingiverse, this dude, D2SM10, I printed out a bunch of them in purple because it's what I had. I wish I had just started with black because all the rest of them are black, but I will live with it. Printed a bunch of them in purple. Then I started printing them in black. And for all of these, after they print out, I am using a white acrylic marker and filling in the names because otherwise the names would be just in the purple or in the black and be a little bit harder to read. And as you can see in the B-roll, the names are now very easy to read. Blackbeard printed really, really small, and it looked kind of bad, but all the rest of them look great. After I was about 60% of the way through printing the fighter boxes, my 3D printer just pooped its pants. It just failed, and not in an unfixable way. I'm sure I could have fixed it if I had wanted to spend more time on it, but it was an Ender 3 V2, and throughout the entire printing process, it just constantly presented issues. There was just always something to fix. After like every 2 or 3 prints, there would be something new to fix, and I would fix it, and I would be frustrated while I was fixing it, but then I would get a sense of satisfaction that I had problem solved and I'd figured something out. But at a certain point, once you've done that like 8 times, I started to feel like if it breaks again, I'm just buying a new printer. And it broke again, and I tried to fix it once, and I fixed a problem, but it wasn't fully fixed, and then I fixed a problem, but it wasn't fully fixed, and I fixed a problem, and it wasn't fully fixed, and I said, screw it, even if there's one tiny little extra problem that I need to fix, I don't care anymore, I'm giving up, I'm buying a different 3D printer. And I did, and whoa Nelly, not a sponsor in any way. Nothing here is sponsored. No affiliate links, no whatever, just stuff that I used. I got a Bamboo Lab A1, which if you know anything about 3D printers, that's like the one that everybody gets, that everybody recommends as just like, just get this. If you're stupid, it's easy. And like, that's what I need. I need plug and play, and it is that. There have been 3 issues total in all of the subsequent time. I have printed probably like 250 hours since I have gotten it, and the 3 issues have been solved by take the print bed off and wash it with hot water and soap, and every single time that has been the only thing I have needed to do to fix the problem. amazing. Like, coming from the Ender 3v2, where it's like, you should really buy an auto leveler. Ooh, the current motor, you're gonna want to replace that. Oh, get a Capricorn PTFE tube. Definitely, that'll fix it. The springs underneath the leveling bed, ooh, change those out. Every single problem is like, buy a new thing, wait for it to come in, install it yourself. And this puppy, which is down there, just works, and it's a delight. I printed out the rest of the fighter boxes with that, and I can kind of tell which ones are those because they just look a little bit nicer than the other ones. And it's very slight, but they do look a little bit nicer than the ones that I printed on the Ender 3v2. If you need a 3D printer and you don't want to think about shit, get that one. There is no doubt in my mind that it's like relatively affordable. I think it was like $400 for the printer and the AMS Lite, which like you can print in multiple colors if you care about that. If you don't care about that, I think it's like $300 for the printer, $350, something like that. But I read that it's the AMS Lite that lets you print in multiple colors is the kind of thing that you end up wanting at some point. And if you buy it bundled, you save a little bit of money. So I was like, I'll just get it now, whatever. Who needs to retire? So I got that, and it was great. Printed out all of these. Where do they go, right? You've got all these boxes. Who will hold them? Well, these 6 photo keepsake boxes, which I'll also link below, I measured Kallax shelves for the length and the width and the depth, and I found boxes that would fit in them beautifully. They fit perfectly, like really, really well, length and height wise. And as you can see, they do also fit depth wise. But if you have like mounted your Kallaxes to the walls, or if you, I don't know, if there's stuff behind your Kallaxes, they will not sit flush against the front edge. That is something to note. They do need a little bit of butt room. They need to hang off the back just a little bit. I think these are like 15 inches, 16 inches, and the Kallax shelves are like 13, 14. So they hang off like 2-3 inches off the back. But naturally, because you have like baseboards a lot of the time, Kallaxes just sit that far away from the wall. As you could see when it was up there, you just push it back in there and it fits. That is true for all of the shelves that I have. It may not be true for yours, so measure your stuff before you start buying things. Okay, so I've got these boxes. The problem is the lids. As you can see, these are not box with a lid, box with a lid, box with a lid. That was my plan, was to have each of them self-contained. But they don't fit on the shelves in that configuration. They needed to be a box on top of a box on top of a box, and you can have one lid on top if you care about that. That is something to be aware of. You can't just stack them with lids. So what I did was make and then print out these little T-shaped box edges that are glued to the sides of the boxes and then to the top lid. So it's like a little T, and there's glue here and there's glue here, and they squish on there, and then you can set the boxes on top of each other without them falling off, and then they kind of slide a little bit. So that's nice and good if you're trying to get just one box or something like that. Is this a perfect solution? No, they're glued onto these, like, this material. If I were to pull, it would rip off. I am not going to pull for that reason. I expect them to last, but they may not. I guess I'll like add a comment or something under this if they ever do like pull off, but they're just super glued on, and they seem sturdy enough for my needs. I'm not going to be like throwing these around. So that's something to be aware of, and that's how these boxes came to be. Fascinating tale. That's not all. What else is there about the actual production of these? Okay, the front, the artwork here, because I need to display the artwork. That's the whole point. If I can't do that, there's no purpose to any of this. Life has no meaning. So, This and this, the 4 images and then the Unmatched logo, this is something that just exists. I just found this image online in high quality that Restoration Games or something put up there for promo, whatever. And I took that and I basically like flipped it vertically inverted so that these things were upside down here, and then I filled those spots in with these 4 additional images that I just found online, high quality, unmatched artwork that people have uploaded, whatever. So that was how this one was done. Then I took that, moved it over here, and cleared out all 8 of those boxes, and then I just like took photos of card art that I like and put it onto this one. I do think that this box looks nicer than this box. This one's like a little undersaturated a little bit. It's a little less colorful, a little less poppy. What are you going to do? Stuff happens. And then my plan was to just print this out on high quality paper with a high quality printer. But this might be the part that is difficult for you specifically to do because your mom is not my mom. I live in Buffalo. When I moved back to Buffalo, part of the reason was so I could be close to my family because that's nice. And my mom has a whole bunch of really high-tech crafty stuff. She's got like a laser cutter and she can print onto acrylic in very, very high quality. My thought was that just she had a nice printer and could print onto some papery material. But she was like, what if I printed it onto acrylic? And I said, okay, that sounds sweet. So she printed this onto acrylic and then sliced it with a laser. And then I took Gorilla Tape and stuck it onto these boxes. And doesn't it look nice? You can easily print this out on paper and get effectively the same result. My plan was to like Mod Podge this to the boxes, which I did for Spirit Island when I transferred all of my Spirit Island stuff into the Twilight Imperium Prophecy of Kings box. We do crazy things for the games that we love. But this is now on acrylic and it looks great. If you don't have access to that, just print it out. I'll also put like these image files into a, Google Drive or something and link it below. Or you can email me or something. I don't know how the best way to distribute it is if you're trying to do this exact project. So I believe that's the tale of all the stuff that was needed to put this together. You need a 3D printer, you need to buy these boxes, and you need to print out this and stick it on there if you want to do this exact thing. That's what is required of you. A whole bunch of 3D printer filament obviously was required. But not that much. I don't know, 3 rolls? Something like that. 3 rolls. That sounds about right. Maybe 4, maybe 3.5. I don't know. Not a crazy amount. A good amount. There's a lot of plastic, but not a crazy amount. What else do I need to tell you? I need to tell you what can still be accommodated. I know. I checked before this because I'm smart. You could fit an additional 33 fighters of the regular size boxes. Not if they're all 33 T-Rexes, you can't do that because that takes up more space. But 33 regular single fighter boxes into these before you need any additional expansion. And that's a bunch. Right now, these 3 boxes are totally full. This box has space for 3 more fighters. All of these have spots for 21 regular small size fighters, not T-Rexes or the Velociraptors, which take up extra space. 3 more can fit in here. This box has the Tales to Amaze stuff, the Unmatched Adventures stuff. So it's got like the villain components and the minions and all of that stuff. And there's room for, I think, 9 more fighters in here. Yeah, there's 9 more fighters in here. And then this box right now has all of the maps and rule books. So as things currently stand, 0 fighters can go in here, but there is room on top of every single box, a good 2 inches of room for rulebooks and maps. So once I have too many fighters, this will be cleared out and distributed amongst all of the boxes. And then you can have another 21 fighters in here. So 21, 9 is 30, and then 3 more, 33 fighters if you're doing this exact thing that can fit into these boxes. I love Unmatched, and I love this new storage solution. I think this is absolutely fantastic. My previous storage solution took up 90% of 2 Kallax cubes. This now takes up 100% of 2 Kallax cubes, and it's got space for 33 more fighters. It is also so much quicker to get fighters out. The other one, you'd have to take the, deck boxes apart and then pull out the specific fighter and get their stuff and, tilt out the components that you want for that and then sprinkle the other components for the fighter that fell out back in. This, you just go, oh, what do I got? Boom. Bullseye, playable immediately. That's just all of Bullseye's stuff, all in one go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And it's fantastic, and it accommodates sleeved cards. There are comments in the Thingiverse link that talk about which sleeved cards you can use. I had the fighters in Arcane Tin Men sleeved cards that are like now discontinued, which is annoying. And I had to increase the length of the boxes by 1%. I just increased so if the box is like this, I just made it wider by literally 1%, and they fit in there perfectly. If you don't do that, they just stick a little bit in the box. Like, it's just, you got to pull a little bit harder. They still come out, but you got to pull a little bit harder. So the 1% increase fixed that, no problem. If you have those specific sleeves, but a lot of the other, like Gamegenic sleeves, I think people were saying just fit. I believe. Check for yourself. Yeah, I've got the rest of my Unmatched stuff is on the way in, I think, 10 days. It's supposed to come out in the end of June because I got the TMNT stuff, Lee versus Muhammad Ali, and then the Stars and Stripes, all of those new Unmatched sets, and they're waiting to send the first two until Stars and Stripes is released and not pre-ordered anymore. And then I'll be able to fill all of the empty fighter boxes because I've printed out, George Washington's box, and it's sitting there empty and sad and scared, looking for a man with wooden teeth to fill it. Gross. That is what I did with my Unmatched stuff. What have you done with yours? Have you been able to part with the beautiful Unmatched boxes, or are you just saying, screw it? I know they take up space on my shelves, but damn it, they're beautiful. I think I respect that a lot, honestly, because they do look really nice on the shelves. But if you have done a different storage solution, what have you done? What about this storage solution do you think could be improved? Is there anything? If it involves buying more stuff, I'm probably not going to do that. But if it doesn't, maybe I will. That's what I've done. This is the project that I've been undertaking for a little while, but there's no project up next. There is something. Probably the next Board and Savior video is going to be about my next 3D printing foray, which is designing my own 3D printable custom insert. Because I think for a lot of us board gamers, there are some games where it is obvious what needs to be done. There's like the Champions of Midgard game. You get the Valhalla expansion. If there's others, I don't know. But like you get the expansions, and that's all the stuff for it. So people make the insert for that. Star Wars Rebellion, you get Rise of the Empire, and so you make an insert for that. But what about for a game like Marvel Crisis Protocol, a miniatures game where you might care about the Inhumans and I care about the Spider Friends? And so we have different needs for an organizer for different tokens and different whatever. So I am building a custom insert, and it's not really about the Marvel Crisis Protocol insert. It's sort of about documenting the process of designing your own insert, because there isn't a ton of videos or literature on how people have done that up to this point. So I'm trying to do something that is a little bit of not a tutorial, but just sort of like, here's how I did it, so that you can extrapolate and do it for yourself if you have the desire to. Because I was a little bit frustrated with the lack of resources available. So why don't I be the change I want to see in the world, That's what I got for you today. Probably a couple weeks before that, maybe months, who knows. I said on TikTok that I was making my top 50 board games of all time videos. I'm still doing that. Those will come out someday, probably. I've put a lot of work into those, and I just want to have them all done before I start releasing them. I'm going to do them like 10 at a time, but I don't want to put out 50 through 41 without being even close to finished with 10 through 1, So I'm working on that piecemeal as time goes by, as I can stand to. But that's what I got for you today. Leave a comment about what you've done with Unmatched or what you've done with other inserts. Leave a like, I beg you. I didn't put a lot of work into this video. This video was just a camera pointing at me and then shooting B-roll. But I put a lot of work into prepping for the video. This took so long. So I would love it. That'd be really nice. And I love you. And I'll say goodbye now. Bye.